As humans, we're naturally driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. When I was looking to hire someone, it was so slow and overwhelming. I wish I had used Indeed. If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. And Indeed doesn't just help you hire faster. 93% of employers agree Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, according to a recent Indeed survey. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
There are a few things in life that just keep on giving for $3.99 a month. A floppy fuel station sarnie, one small cup of bougie overpriced coffee? I don't think so. Or, for the same price, you could be getting a month's worth of skincare insights and know-how from yours truly. A wealth of fresh, expertly written articles on all things skincare and beauty. From our free-to-download version for essential educational content to our elevated premium experience, the Skin Rocks app will revolutionise how you shop and learn about skincare. Whether you're a novice building your first routine, an aficionado wanting deep scientific expertise, or someone looking for the inside scoop on beauty newness, it's all in one pocket-friendly place on the Skin Rocks app. With simple-to-use functions that let you filter for your personal profile, save your favourite content, and explore a vast product library with ease, it's no wonder it's called the Google of skincare. Unlock a world of incredible premium content for just $3.99 a month, $34.99 a year, or get a special discount via the podcast with code CHPOD to get £10 off your annual subscription. Welcome to Glad We Had This Chat with me, Caroline Hirons. It's your one-stop shop for all things skincare, beauty and beyond. My guest this week first captured public attention in the 90s as an actress and socialite who was part of the infamous Primrose Hill set. Her path, however, took a huge transformational turn when she discovered her passion for nutrition and hormone optimisation, and she is now considered one of the most esteemed biohacking experts in the country. She's also the accidental CEO of the multi-million-pound supplement business Willpowders. It's Davinia Taylor. Hey!
That takes me back.
Takes you back to?
Hollyoaks and stuff. My first
When
job.
was that?
Okay, so I...
Hi, Davinia Taylor.
Hi.
Welcome to the pod. Carry on.
Hi. Let me think. We were just talking about kids and stuff, and my eldest, who's like 17 now, and that's when I decided to walk out of school, and I was doing like business economics, psychology and performing arts, and then I went, I'm going to go and be an actor. And my mum and dad were like, yeah, fucking what? Yeah. And then so 17 I was. So 30 years ago. I'm 47 now.
You did Hollyoaks 30 years?
30 years ago.
I didn't even know that.
I know. I mean, it was ridiculous. I was thinking about it on a run the other day, and it was like, can you imagine? You've got all these, like, because we were like 17 up to like 25, getting paid and like not working normal hours in Liverpool.
Oh, wow.
And obviously you're not far from Manchester, and it was mental.
Yeah.
I mean, even the cameraman, the directors, everyone was just wrecked.
Party?
Yes, it was like, it's like, oh God, who's in tomorrow? God, it is tomorrow.
So it's like what, late 80s, early 90s?
So mid-90s, yeah.
So where'd you go from that to moving to London?
It was a natural progression, I didn't want to be in... It was like a kid's drama, and you weren't allowed to swear and stuff in it, because it was on a Sunday, you couldn't say God, you had to say gosh, and it just really annoyed me. Really? The omnibus was on a Sunday, yeah. And I wanted to like stretch my wings and become a thespian, which of course I didn't do, because I focused more on drinking, the after party, as opposed to the pre-production. So, yeah, but no, I mean, London was great. I mean, it was great. It was the 90s. And then it went into the noughties. I don't like saying the noughties. It sounds...
naughty.
Wanky, doesn't it? But anyway, so I was down there by the age of 20, moved to Vauxhall, and it really, I took it up a gear. Well, everyone did. Everyone took it up a gear back then. It was wild. Yeah. And it was like, oh my God, every night, Saturday night.
See, I didn't do any of that. I was such a Julie Andrews. Moved to London when I was 17, again from up north, Warrington.
Literally spitting distance from from Wigan.
From you, yep. And so, I mean, they literally were called, like, it'd be Warrington and Wigan. Like, that's the next step on the train.
It is. It literally is. I did it this morning, and I shall be doing it on my return. Yes. Salubrious as hell.
Beautiful. Nice little laundry detergent factory right
Gorgeous,
there.
Yes.
And I moved to London when I was 17, met Jim when I was 19. was pregnant at 21
Right.
and had Ben at 22.
Wow.
Never done a drug in my life. I am Julie Andrews.
Right. Okay.
Except for drink, obviously.
Yeah, I was. Well, I mean, my thing was white wine. If we're going to talk about my sort of like drug of choice, it was white wine. You could put anything in front of me, but take my white wine off me. That was what got me.
Really?
That was what got me. Yeah, not beer, white wine. And of course, obviously, if we ran out of that, we'd have vodka. But it was always white wine. Gave me the lit me
the warm and fuzzies.
Warm, fuzzy, little bit of confidence, optimism. But I mean, we'll go down into the alcohol bit a bit.
Yeah.
But London back then, for me, was next level. There was no mobile phones, no social media.
No one would know what you were up to.
No, I mean, God, I mean, Brown's was still open. I mean, it was fantastic. And for someone who's like obviously from Wigan, and not going to like the ritzy nightclub, fashion photographers, you had thespians, you had all sorts of designers, and it was very cool Britannia back then as well. So,
but how did you get into that set? Because you were part of that set, which I'm not really going to focus on. But you come from up north, you moved down here. How are you suddenly a part of that crew?
I don't know, because I'm just dead funny.
So entertaining.
I'm a hoot. I don't know. I suppose you just keep up. I mean, what happens is when you have that sort of mentality, and I bet because you're quite intense as well. I mean, you pull into a little vortex, and the ones who don't fit just disappear and they go home. But guess what? I'm still standing at 8 a.m, day 3.
Oh,
but
God,
yeah.
no. The idea of that
And the idea of
me.
that now gives me the EBGBs.
It just totally exhausts me.
But you know, I'm 21.
So it's all
21.
fun and games.
Yeah.
When does it stop being fun and games?
About 20, I think it turned on me at about 27, really.
And how old are you when you had Gray?
That will be, I started getting pregnant, well, trying at 28.
Right.
I mean, I think I'd always be a heavy drinker, but I think the messing around with my hormones tipped me across that invisible line that nobody knows where it is.
Yeah.
And the thing, because I'm an alcoholic, right, and I always will be because I've gone past the invisible line.
The point of no return.
Yeah, but there's a saying is you can't unpickle a gherkin back into a cucumber. I am well and truly a gherkin, even though I've not drank for like 16 years. Yeah. It's just the way it is. Like I'll always be allergic to it. Like you're always going to be allergic to peanuts.
Yeah.
I just have this allergy that if I have one, something happens, my hormones change, and I have to have another one, be it immediately or the next day or the next day. And there's no risk for me. There's no gain.
So you actually got sober quite soon after you had Gray?
Yeah, well, I had to.
Was it a catalyst?
Yeah. I mean, that fast-tracked me. Otherwise, I could have been prattling around with glass of wine here, glass of wine there. And for me, I've had all my 30s and my 40s sober. And not many people have that. Not many people caned it like I did in the 20s. And you can kind of repair when you're in your 20s.
You go to work without sleep.
I mean, it's bizarre.
You go straight. I used to do that because when I moved to London, I worked in HMB. Brilliant job to have. Music. So we had tickets to all the gigs, like you say, no social media. You'd go into the manager's office, there'd be tickets pinned to the wall, and everyone knew who liked particular bands.
Yeah.
You'd go to the after-show party to feed yourself, save money.
Yes.
Because in those days, there were massive big parties. You'd be like, stuff your face, and then you'd go straight back to work the next day.
I got the train this morning, and I'm like, because I've not had my 8 hours, I'm there snoring against the window, like awful. My own worst nightmare. Like, look at her dribbling, middle-aged woman.
Who took you in hand, or was it your own decision?
My mum. My dad tried, and he was like, oh, God, bloody sick of this. But it was my mum, of course. She could see I was struggling. But, I mean, there wasn't things out there that, there was no postnatal depression. There was no hormones. I mean, I'd had IVF, right? And if you think about it, what
that does to your hormones.
Exactly. And then at the end of it, obviously, you've got all this artificial sort of estrogen pumping through you that will boost you. I mean, it's creating life. And then all of a sudden, you fall off a cliff. And it'll happen to women who've not even had IVF. You fall off a cliff.
Generally what happens.
When it all drops, all those sex hormones drop, another thing that drops is dopamine and serotonin. So your safe hormone, serotonin, and your confidence, get up and go hormone, dopamine drops. And the one surviving hormone that will survive out of any other hormone is cortisol. Yeah. It keeps you alive. It keeps you looking out for danger. But it keeps you alive. It's part of your immune system, but it also keeps you looking out for danger. And when that's up there, you are scared of your own shadow, never mind a brand new life.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my God, I'm going to drop him. And of course you're not going to fucking drop him.
Yeah.
But that's what's going on all the time until the end. You just have to have a drink to try and level it out so you can just come out of it's like an ongoing nightmare. Like there's a bus going to hit the pram. It's all the frigging time, non-stop. And it's like, I tell you what, I liken it to. When I found out my mum was dying of cancer and the hospital said there's nothing more you can do, That sinking feeling is what you get every day, every minute of the day, Jesus. Maybe every 5 minutes when you're coming off alcohol or you've got postnatal depression. That feeling, and it's like a hot cold.
It comes into your body.
It's like it's the dread, and it's skin crawling, and it's relentless, and it doesn't stop. And the only thing that stops it is a glass of wine, and then, of course, that wears off, so you start feeling it come back. So you have to have another glass of wine. The trouble is, by the time you've had 3 glasses of wine, you're tipsy.
Yeah.
And it's like, did no one ever think maybe test her hormones?
No.
Look at her history.
Exactly what Denise Welch says, you know.
Yes.
That's exactly what Denise Welch said. So she had severe postnatal depression, clinical, where she just basically she had a complete breakdown.
Yeah.
She was happily married. They'd wanted the baby. They were both working actors. Her mum and dad were, staying. They were all happy. And they went out for a walk. And she said it happened while she was out for the walk. The lights went out. And her mum, by the time they got back, her mum said, are you all right, love? I'm really worried about you. She said, what are you talking about? But she said her mum was the one who went, no, this isn't right.
Yeah.
And they had to move in with her.
Yeah.
And then she did the same thing. She tried to do it with booze and coke until it got to the point where Lincoln, her now husband, and they both decided to stop together.
Yeah.
But she says the same thing. It was only when they tested her hormones, and she only had them done, wasn't too long ago, and they said, the doctor literally said to her, I do not know how you are alive.
Yeah.
Your levels are on the floor.
Yeah.
I do not know how you've been functioning.
I mean, it's bizarre, isn't it? Because we give like most of us in our generation, as soon as you're 14, you go on the pill. Mm-hmm. That's HRT for a little girl. Yeah. You're putting them on HRT. And it's not going to sort of regulate your period. It's hijacking your period. It's hijacking your body until you start doing IVF, or until you need antidepressants, or until you need metformin because your blood sugar's out of control.
Or you get pregnant and you have a kid.
Well, this is it. But I mean, I was crap on the pill because I'm so ADHD, I forget everything. I'd just realise and take 5 at once.
I want to come back to the ADHD. What did your mum say to you?
Well, I mean, she...
or was it just more of a continued, love, you can't do this?
Oh, yeah, but as if I'm going to listen to that. No one's going to persuade me. No. You just literally become sick and tired of being sick and tired. Yeah. And it is because of it stops working, and you know it, but you don't know how. So I've been into a rehab before in the UK, and I could always exit. There was always a back door. Yeah. I could always strategize my way out, manipulate my way out. I'd even hitchhike my way out. Not a problem. Mm-hmm. I can survive anywhere. Yeah. So I went to South Africa. No passport, no phone, nothing. And at that point I was getting divorced.
How long were you there for?
3 months.
Then you had the added pressure of the press.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose that's why I worry about social media, because when I was knocking around in that scene and I had an element of fame, but it was awkward for me because I'd have awful stories about me in the News of the World or the Mirror or the Mail or whatever, but I wasn't famous enough to get a table at somewhere swanky.
No,
so I had
you were
the
stuck
shit
in the
bit.
Middle without the good bit.
Yeah, and I'm I don't even get the freebies, but my nan knows this about me. It's awful. And what I mean is by social media is, who gives a shit if you're in the press? Because whoever, if you're 2 people separated, you're not bothered about it's your immediate family. Yeah. And that's what social media does for every single kid now. Has got the News of the World circling them. Yeah. Be it frenemies, those nasty girls, nasty lads, all of that. They are in that position that I was in. And, that does worry me. That really does worry me, because maybe that's why they don't drink as much.
Kids of today take much better care of themselves than we did. My generation and your generation.
Shabby, weren't we?
Much better. They go to the gym.
I know.
All of my kids go to the gym. I'm Jesus Christ, I go to the gym till I was 54.
I know, that last-ditch attempt.
Literally, I was 53 when I stepped foot in a gym. 53, and my kid's I'll teach you, Mum. I'm no, I know that's not going to work, because it's easy for me to say no to you. Yeah. If my trainer says do this, I'm going to moan, but I'm going to do it.
And if you've got to pay for them as well, you're come on.
I'm not going to not turn up, sort this out.
Exactly.
So we'll focus on that and come back to the ADHD. So when you come back, what's your situation? When you come back from South Africa, clean head?
No, because, if you think about it, you've only 3 months clean. So you've got to the trouble is, with an alcoholic, when you relapse, you are actually sober when you reach for that first drink. Yeah. And that is what you've got to change. You've got to change your whole mindset. I think what kept me sober, and a lot of people will say, no, you've got to be Zen, you've got to be, all very spiritual and everything. Absolute rage got me through.
There you go.
Absolute anger.
Yeah.
And you cannot, literally, I think that for the next few years kept me sober as a judge, because I was so incensed with the institutions, with the doctors, with the courts, with my ex.
With your ex,
with the lawyers that I'm paying, you know, non-stop. I was incensed.
Yeah.
And I'm pleased that I'm a feisty person, because it kept me sober. If I'd been a bit more,
you would have reached the
I
line
probably would have gone, you know, and that's my
whatever.
lot.
It doesn't matter because I'm never going to win.
So I think any woman who's going through something, use anger. It's a superpower, and it's the biggest motivator. There's nothing like a woman who's scorned, as we all know, and there's nothing more powerful than a mother who is angry. You know, you can change the whole. You know, so I don't really adhere to. I mean, I'm a lot calmer now, obviously.
Which is quite terrifying to those of us who only know this Davinia.
Yeah, the calm before the storm. But I mean, I think I've come through an awful lot on the back of rage. And it's, you know, it's a fascinating emotion, and it shouldn't be dumbed down. If a woman's angry, fucking let her roar. Yeah.
I love an angry woman.
I do.
I just think we spend a lot of time, especially with like my Gen X, and you're kind of on the cusp of Gen X and millennial, but I think we were always taught to like be seen and not be heard and be ladylike and all of this.
Yes.
And so when I used to get really angry, my mum would be like, "Oh no, calm down, love." I'd be like, "Why?
Why?
So angry."
Oh,
you know?
God, yeah, my mum was very quiet.
So
really sort of, but my dad's really feisty, really shouty. And my mum used to go, "Oh my God, I just can't be with you two. You two are just awful." And then we just go, "Yeah, that's the end of that." And we'll crack on. No, I didn't know with my mum, but my dad's got two young boys. One's 12, one's 19.
Right, so basically you were on your own.
Basically, I was a complete only child. I mean, and just nowhere to be seen. Climbing out of windows, everything.
How did the ADHD, without knowing you even had it, because it wasn't a thing when we were kids, right? You were just like a bit naughty, or you couldn't focus, or it was always a whole thing.
Class clown, scruffiest girl at school, never had a PE kit, forgot a lunchbox, and never had the special like pound for like whatever. I forgot everything. How I got through my exams, I don't know. Just probably adrenaline.
Yeah.
Like I'm cramming
the night.
And there was no coursework back then. It was exams. I'm flabbergasted I did it. But I think it was just adrenaline and fear. Because I was in quite a strict all-girls school. They said, you do not come back for sixth form, by the way. You are a nightmare. I'm like, whatever.
I'm not going to. I'm going to be on Hollylocks, isn't it?
Yeah. See you later. Whatevs. Oh, just a knob. Just a knob. Roll my skirt up. Oh, just a textbook cliche.
Maybe that's why I've got 4 boys.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I used to like the boys, and that's God having a sense of humour. I'm surrounded by lads. It's headlocks, it's punching, it's all that.
A mess.
Yeah,
feral.
But I'm really messy as well, so they're really messy, and our house is always messy, but it plays havoc with my ADHD because it's the noise.
Yeah.
But we are really scruffy family, and it's like I try and tidy up, and it's fucking hours in the kitchen, and it's just as bad as when I walked in. I'm like, the effort, I'm exhausted, and nothing is tidy. Every time I walk, I mean, I'm doing like a post or something on Instagram, and I'm like talking like I do just off the cuff.
I can always see you washing everywhere. I love it.
But I'm looking at like, that cupboard's open again. I'm like, it's me.
But you know what I think the difference is? Here's my theory, right? The difference in how, because your success has come about with you sharing on socials.
How scruffy I actually am.
No, I mean like being real, being you. I think because if you didn't speak and we didn't know where you lived, right? And you had a wellness brand, you know, however you want to put it, we would think you were posh and from Surrey or Fulham, right?
No.
But it's because you open your mouth and that Preston accent comes out and I immediately feel warm and cosy because that's where I was raised. And then you go, look at the fucking state of this.
Because it's true. Because imagine if I had to tidy up before I did a post, I wouldn't even post anything.
It's just,
I'd just have a corner.
It's just the reality of, and you're also quite cheap, which I love.
Yeah.
The hair dye.
Yeah.
Let's just focus on the hair dye.
Which I did yesterday as I avoided bonfire night in my kitchen. Yeah,
so you will literally just go and buy bleach and shove it on your head.
Mum was a hairdresser. We've always had peroxide in the house. So if I had a sore throat, she made me gargle with peroxide. I mean, peroxide was the answer for everything.
Like Big Fat Greek Wedding with
the
windscreen.
Absolutely. So I've never been scared. I mean, our house used to smell of perm solution because my gran had come over, get a perm done and everything. So it was literally a mobile. So I'm not scared of colour at all. I mean, I suppose if I want to live a non-toxic life, it's probably the most toxic thing I have, but I'm not going grey. Sorry. Sorry.
No.
I really liked colour in my hair.
Yeah.
Sometimes I go a bit darker, but I always go back to the skunk streaks.
But the
like
fact
I live
that
on Bondi Beach.
The fact that you do that and
saves me a fortune.
How much does it cost you?
£7. Fucking £7.
It's brilliant.
And I'm watching the news, and I'm not in that awful hairdresser's mirror that makes you want to have a facelift. What is wrong with the lighting?
I now,
6
if I'm
hours
going,
there like that, you're like...
if I'm going to the hairdressers now, I think, oh God, you're going to put makeup on.
Yes.
Put makeup on, because you either look like you've just been dug up and you're in the coffin and they're fixing your hair for you.
Yes.
Or you look like they do your hair and you go, oh, not bad. I might take up the way you do it, but I've got too much grey. My whole head is grey, so I'd have to have the whole thing. It's just too much. You can just do a bit at the front and look all sexy.
No, I mean, I did the back as well. I mean, I think my granddad went grey really early, so I think I've inherited that, and I think it's a copper deficiency. And blah, blah, blah. I'm going to dig into it, because this is getting ridiculous now, because my hair grows so fast. But I mean,
it's all that collagen and protein, babe.
It is, and it really does work.
And I can attest, because I started taking supplements, and then when I moved on to yours and I was doubling up on the protein powders and the collagen powders, the hair growth is off the charts. I have to pluck my chin every day. Every day. I'm like, fuck, there's another one. Jesus Christ.
Just keep
I have
growing.
tweezers everywhere.
Pursuit.
Tweezers everywhere. Strap yourselves in, people. I'm going on tour for the first time ever, and I'm so here for it, bringing our wild and wonderful Glad We Had This Chat podcast to a venue near you. Promising you an unforgettable night of unbridled honesty, unfiltered opinions, F-bombs and fearlessness. Come join me and a stellar lineup of special guests as we talk all things skincare and beauty, along with frank discussions about life's adventures, challenges, highlights and joys, with exclusive on-stage skincare demos, entertaining Q&As and a healthy dose of unscripted hilarity. This is Caroline Hirons, me, live and apparently on steroids. It's happening. Get your tickets now at carolinehirons.com and secure your spot. Let's go back to how you get to where you are now. Because, so Gray's the baby, you rage for 5 years, you get custody. Then you have 3 other kids. So your kids between, 9 and 17, 9 and 18?
Yeah, so number one's 17. I number them. I know it sounds awful, but you can picture it then, can't you?
You have to number
them. You can
them.
picture them.
Yeah.
So number one's 17, number two's 13, number 3 is 11, and number 4 has just turned 9.
Which is why your house is feral.
Which is why my house is feral. But also, I mean, I did a post the other day about the shoes.
The shoes I shared, because
Okay,
I've always joked about that.
What
if anyone
is it?
tries to break into our house, they're going to break their neck on all the shoes. You're done.
You'll fall over and you'll die. Like, I told you so.
Shoes everywhere.
Loser. Yeah.
Welcome.
Lock the door on your way out.
Shoes everywhere.
But at least taking the shoes off, it's a gesture, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm going to take my shoes off. I'm going to throw them everywhere and get mud everywhere, but they're not on my feet.
Oh, I mean, anyway, boys, bless them. They are my life and soul, but they are intense. But
it's a lot.
It's not 4 girls, which would be psychological warfare, I believe.
4 girls. Anyone who has more than one daughter, I would tip my hat and bow. I don't know how you would do it. And us with 4 girls, we'd be in jail.
Yes. I would throttle them. Yeah. I mean, how my mum coped with me.
Yeah.
It just awful.
Yeah.
Just like, and
about 15, I think
the sulking and everything. We don't have sulking in our house. There's none of that.
Boys don't really sulk.
No. I mean, there's a dead arm. There's a Chinese burn.
Yeah.
And then there's I've nicked your
snot all over the wall.
Oh, all that.
Everywhere.
All that, yeah. Oh, he's gross. He's done this. You know.
Farting on their heads.
All that.
So life calms down. I got pregnant. I had number 2, and then I met Matthew again. I'd known him since Manchester anyway, since we were like 19. Oh, right, okay.
And he's a builder, and he was doing some extension work in my mum's house. And then I said, oh, will you come? I was renting a new house because obviously I'd had the baby and everything. I needed to get a bigger flat. And I said, I fancy painting this flat. It was a rental. I want to paint it absolutely glossy black, so it's almost reflective, deep black. And he's like, are you sure? Are you sure about that? I said, yeah, and it needs to be high gloss, like, you know. And he's like, okay, fine. And then he's like painting it. He goes, well, I pity the fool who's got to take this off when you change rent, you know, when you move location. And it was him. He had to do it because by that time we were together, and he had to do it for free. So it was like, this is a dickhead's job. And he's trying to get this paint off to get it back to white to its pre-rental sort of condition. And then, Matthew and I are fabulous. You know, we are literally a bit scruffy together, but peas in a pod.
But it's very funny.
Yeah, and he's a really good sort of stepdad. You know, he's a great father of boys. Yeah, he's very sporty and so relaxed. I mean, he's like my antithesis.
He's like Jim. Jim's horizontal.
This is it. And I'm like, well, you're not like bothered about this. He's like, no.
I'm like, hello. He's like,
yeah. I think that's why it works then.
Yeah, literally. So this is a funny story, Jim, right? Our son's getting married. The morning of the wedding, I've got bridesmaids, my daughter-in-law, makeup artist, hair in the dining room. I've been up since, I don't even know if I remember if I slept. I'm dressing gown ready, prepped, rollers, like full scouse stand.
Full scouse. I can see it and I love it.
Roller. Having a curly blow. And so I'm like this. Jim hasn't surfaced. He gets up. I see him in the kitchen and just like an apparition, he floats across to the kettle. He makes himself a coffee and he keeps going and he goes to sit down in his TV room. And I'm like, all I can hear is blow dryers, the girls chatting, the grandchildren are running round, right? And he just sits down and he gets his phone out. And I walked in, I went, what are you doing? And he knows when I'm in, because I'm standing over him looking down, like, what are you doing? And he went, oh, don't start, I'm just having my coffee. I went, oh, I'm sorry, is it over? Is our son married? Has it happened? Did I miss it? I was like,
Squeaking.
Delirious,
Squeaking.
the higher and the higher. And he went, fucking hell, all right. And he stood up and he went, what then? What do you want me to do? I went, oh, I literally gave you a list. You have a list. I gave you a list. Where's the list? Well, what list? I was like, I was the bridezilla.
Of course.
I was the bridezilla. But that wedding happened because I nagged the shit out of my husband.
I mean, I'm very much like that with Matthew when we go on holiday and he's got the passport and that's it.
I can't.
He turns up with the passport.
I have to have the passport.
Well, I mean, I'm like, I that's the sort of thing I forget. But I'm like, I hate clothes. I hate packing. I hate all the shit. I hate airports. And my kids would do the wheelie thing.
Yeah.
So they're all three of them just like whizzing across T2 at Manchester to get the Malaga flight at 300 miles an hour, just knocking into disabled people and everything. And I'm like, look, stop it, for the love of God. Looking insane.
Yeah.
And then someone comes up to me, oh, I love your products. Do you want a calm? And I'm like, give me.
Yeah, give me a calm.
I mean, I am so angst with them. I think it's the public thing.
Well,
me and kids in public.
But it's also ADHD because if you're a control freak and you've got I had 3 kids, 3 boys. If you've got 4 boys, just another level. Like, I love an airport when I'm on my own. I'm never happier.
Oh, it's fabulous.
When
it's
I'm on my
glamorous.
own,
It's wonderful.
I get there 3 hours early.
Oh, yes, I do.
I go for a mooch. I do a WH Smith's, get me mags. I do
I even get highlighters and stuff.
Oh, yeah, stuff I don't
sorts of-
need. But with the kids, I'm never more stressed than going to an airport, being in the airport, getting on the plane, getting off the plane. It's more stress than anything.
And my kids always want the junk food. And obviously I don't like junk food because it's bad for them. And then you put them on a plane and they're like hyper.
Nutters.
And I'm like, why, Matthew, did you get them a bag of family-size Haribo for them to inhale before they get on the plane?
No,
and
Matthew.
now they're off. They're off. And we can't divide and conquer because I can't put a stranger with these lots. So it's now me. And I downloaded my Netflix. Forget it. Shut up.
So, let's start on the junk food.
So, yeah,
Let's
as I said, I've got much calmer. Much calmer, yeah.
So, how do you go from, you got Matthew, you got 4 kids, the picture that you always show online.
Yes, okay.
When was that taken? Because we both have. We will call it a before picture.
Yeah,
so we
the
don't
before
upset
picture.
I happily call it my fat pictures.
Yeah.
But we'll call it a before. And I would say it's before I open my eyes.
Oh, absolutely. Well, that was just after my mum died.
Right.
So
Well, that makes a lot of sense.
As usual, I mean, I've got an addictive personality. Well, like I said, it was always wine. Wine is the devil for me. That is the gateway for everything disastrous to happen. However, a close second is carbohydrates.
Yeah.
And I don't mean like really good quality carbohydrates, like veg and stuff. I'm talking about your white folding bread.
White food.
Like white folding bread, they're basically elastic in it.
Yeah.
That sort of stuff.
Wet it and pull it.
Yeah, I mean, you can really mould it and it just turns into glucose. However, I didn't realise that there was a mechanism going on within my brain to do often with ADHD, having low dopamine.
Yeah.
Because that sort of, it's very, it's sugar basically. Carbohydrates are sugar. And I thought I was doing really well by having whole grains and, eating like 6 portions of grains a day, like they said, and loads of salad and like sort of polyunsaturated fat, like vegetable oils. And it's all low saturated. All this stuff I'm doing. But I couldn't stop doing it, if you know what I mean. There was no pause button.
Oh, yeah, I
So
do.
it's like in the morning, it's like your granola or all bran, great fibre provider, which is just a bowl of sugar. As soon as you mix something like all bran with saliva, it breaks down into glucose. So your blood sugar's going up, your dopamine's going up.
Yeah.
And me, who's got low dopamine anyway, I'm always seeking it. ADHD people often have what's next?
Always.
That's why I forget stuff. That's why I forget to close the cupboard door, because I've already moved on from that cupboard to another cupboard.
Like our poor teams. Our poor teams. Poor people live and even have to follow us around and just be like, where are they? Who knows? Look for the disturbance.
Well, I've not even got a desk in the office. I've not got a desk. I just wander around like some sort of like
I moved my desk out of my own office because we needed the space, and I call it the shop floor. So I'm on the main. I moved it onto the shop floor, which is the worst thing I could have done, because how easily distracted am I? It's not. And when people say, "Oh, look, a squirrel," it's not even that. It's, "Oh, look, a squirrel." It's not a squirrel, you dickhead. You've always been a dickhead, and then you're gone. It's just
25 minutes. 25 minutes gone. 25 minutes. Yeah, I'm so easily distracted. Which goes back to must pay more attention in class.
Yeah.
How?
Less chat,
I'm
more
seeking
attention.
something that's not boring.
The only best bit about having the kids going through school is I didn't know I had ADHD, but I knew when my kids were being told that they should pay more attention in class, that they weren't on their own, and I felt the same way, and Jim did. And my kids would give the most eloquent reasons to their teachers of why they wouldn't pay attention. I thought, I can only be proud of that. I can only embrace this.
It's tediously boring, miss.
They would say, well, if your lesson wasn't so boring, miss, I'd pay attention. And I'd be like, that's not a problem for me. You're the teacher. I would be very respectful, and I'd be like, oh, but don't say that, dear. But secret, I was going, get in, son. Because
it is boring.
It's so boring.
I don't know how
for
we
kids.
sat down when I look at it.
You sit there for 8 hours.
I used to just sit on my leg and see if I could get it so cramped.
Always.
That it, like, you get up and it was completely
even when
numb.
you're having fun. Let me move my legs.
Something to do.
Can't sit still.
I mean, I'm completely switched off.
Okay, so Matthew, overweight mum.
Okay, so mum.
We're back in the room.
Boom. So mum got breast cancer, and she died, and I didn't know how to deal with that because my mood was so flat. I couldn't reach for wine and it was just constant grief. So I'd go, oh, I tell you what, I'll make myself something today. I'll make myself a sandwich. And then there's a little bit of a uplift, there's a little bit of something to look forward to. And then it kind of carried on like that, on and on and on, until I kind of realised it was affecting my brain more than I noticed my body, because it was only on that picture with me in a bikini that I see it, because I used to dress really well for someone who was overweight. Yeah. I'd always wear black and baggy and, slight, and my face didn't put it on too much, really. So basically, I'd only look at the mirror.
How tall are you?
I'm only 5'5".
Yeah.
But I mean, but like you, it was round the middle.
Yeah.
And it was like inflammation. It's not just fat.
All inflammation.
It's absolute inflammation. It is your body screaming out to just, we are a walking, talking, moving bruise, and we are swollen.
Yeah.
And I would have carried on doing that, because I went to the doctor and he said to me, have you ever thought of like having a calorie controlled diet and maybe doing some exercise? Like, do you reckon? He also said to me, well, it's because you've had so many kids. Silly me. Well, this is what happens to your metabolism when you have kids. I'm like,
wow.
But try telling the Irish families that when they have 15 children, they're still like this. Yeah, exactly. So it was all that. Well, you're getting on.
And how old are you at this point?
30 fucking 5.
Right. Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Age.
No age at all. So anyway, they said, healthy eating plan, low calorie, and eat little and often, and make sure it's whole grain, not much meat, low fat, everything, which was fucking with my mental health, because I need a lot of fat in my brain. Yeah. I need fats and I need salts. I need electrolytes to spark up my brain, to stop me from tootling around, getting bored and prattling around and doing something detrimental to myself, be it overspending or I don't know, whatever I feel like doing that's just like going on fucking Temu or something and buying something wacky. Me having healthy mental nutrition in my brain stops me acting out.
Yeah.
And it makes me productive and happy and satisfied. For an addict, feeling satisfied, it's freedom.
Major. And also being able to be a parent.
Yeah.
Not just be there for yourself, be there for your kids.
Yeah, because I'm not constantly... I mean, even just a distraction of what we're eating all the time, it's taking the attention from them, as opposed to, go on, show me your drawing that I can't make head and a tail.
Yeah.
I thought it was very good, very good.
Show me your homework. I can't do it.
I can't do it. Here we go, Pythagoras theorem, my old friend. And that was a revelation. When I started feeding my brain, the weight fell off.
But
so for me, it was my brain.
You do that? What was the catalyst?
It was Matt. He says, I say it was me, but it was really Matt. So I have to, So he was like, round about, it's almost 10 years ago, like the biohacking bros started coming out in the States.
Yeah.
I mean, they are dicks. They are dicks.
Yes.
But there was one guy who in particular, he sparked off the imagination of Matt, who he's a bit like me, he's quite addicted to stuff, you know. So he decided he wanted to run the London Marathon. So that's it now. All the trainers, all the gear, everything just came out. All his limbering up, just mortifying middle-aged man in lycra stuff, kicked off, next level. But then he started reading about what Dave Asprey was doing over in America with this thing called a Bulletproof coffee. Yeah. Now then, I'd never had coffee. I missed the whole Friends revolution because I was too busy drinking wine. I didn't understand why people were hanging out in coffee shops when they could be in pubs. I'm like, this is so beige. So, and also when I did have coffee, it gave me anxiety. Yeah. So it gave me the jitters. Now, I didn't realise it's not the coffee that's doing that. It is the mould on the coffee that does that. And it's my body reacting to it. Right. That gives you the jitters, yeah. I mean, if you do have mouldy coffee, you can put, I sell something called Carb, which is an amino acid called L-theanine that you can combine with shitty coffee. It just takes the edge off. You have a cool, calm energy rather than a jittery one. Yeah. And it also stops insomnia. So I've always got calms because I don't know when I'm going to just have a coffee. Yeah. But what this guy did was he mixed this coconut oil, and it's not just coconut oil. It's like an isolated part of the coconut oil. Now, bear with me. It's a medium chain triglyceride. Yeah. So it's a very small amount of carbon atoms, 8 carbon atoms. So it metabolizes really quickly. So what you do is you blend it in a proper blender with black coffee, and it emulsifies into a cappuccino. And it actually calms down any jittery feeling of caffeine, so it helps you metabolize that. But the great thing about this MCT, because we are told to stay away from saturated fat, this MCT, right, because it's such a small carbon structure, it bypasses the digestive system, it gets to the liver, I think through the lymph system. It goes to the liver where it's converted into ketones. Now, ketones are an energy fuel for the brain, right? I've been fueled on glucose all my life. Yeah. And all of a sudden...
70s and 80s and 90s.
70s, 80s and 90s. I mean, baby breast milk is ketogenic. But then we forget. We forget how to do it because we've got rice crackers, we've got Weetabix, we've got croissants, we've got whatever we've got. Snack. All the time, we are constantly glucose fueled. Yeah. And my brain had become insulin resistant. And I didn't know it. I had flatlined. And that's why they wanted to put me on antidepressants. I wasn't depressed. I was just underfueled. Yeah. So this ketone, and it works like in minutes. Yeah. It's not, okay, take this pill and come back and see me in 3 months. Yeah. 3 months? I've moved on. I've probably moved house by then and probably got another kid. So no, so so this is because it's instant, changed everything because I have no patience. Clearly, because I've got ADHD. Same. So I needed that. And sometimes I still use it every single day. And sometimes I take too much just to get a buzz. But I kind of like that. And I change my mood. And that's what I like to do. I'm in control of my mood. Yeah. No longer have I got subliminal messaging going, go and have this snack, go and have that snack. Because then that snack could lead into a glass of wine. And then all bets are off for me. Yeah. So I've got to take my mental health very seriously because I've seen the shit show that happens when it gets out of control. Yeah. And I know my enemy. My enemy is alcohol. Yeah. But what's the route to alcohol is having clarity and control up here. Yeah. And for me, going through the perimenopause, I see so many women coming into AA because of that.
It's torture.
It's
torture.
It's just an endless gloom. And time bends. And it's like, I'm the worst patient. I had to have antibiotics the other week, which I don't like to do because the dog bit me. Whole long story, but I had to have antibiotics.
Your dogs are mental.
Yes, they are. I mean, I know. I say they're runaways, and I say they're rescue dogs when we're walking down the street, and they're not. I have raised them. They are mine. They're my responsibility. I've had them since pups, and I say, the rescue.
The rescue. They don't know how to behave.
Yeah, exactly. And they're like, no, they're not. I've seen you on Instagram. You've had them since they were that big. I am a shit mom. So she bit me just because of she was fighting with her. Anyway, long story short, she bit me because she was scrapping with her brother, and I put my hand in the way. So I had to have antibiotics. The next day, my mood. Oh dear. Always awful. And thank God I had intravenous antibiotics. I didn't take it for a course. Because me without my mood, it just wipes you. And people don't realise you've got antibiotics. It's going to mess with your mental health as well.
So my before pictures are when I was perimenopausal. I was just average size, didn't really think about it much. Had 2 kids in my 20s, 2 kids in my 30s, which is very different. Yeah. Having 2 kids in your 30s is so different from when you're in your 20s. You just don't lose the weight as quick. You don't have as much energy. And perimenopause for me was the worst period of my life. I mean, I am much healthier now at 55 than I was from 40 to 53.
Because it's a guessing game, isn't it?
I had no idea what was going on with me. No one talked about perimenopause.
No
one talked about the relationship between what you eat and drink. And so we would drink red wine. I'd have crisps. And like you say, my mood was just flat. And
Horrible.
I'm not a flat person. Not only am I a glass half full person, I'm like, the glass is half full and it's a great glass. And who cares if piss is in it? It's a great piss.
Yeah.
Like almost too. Like having no warning signs of danger, like too happy.
Yeah.
And so to go from that to just mainlining indifference,
Yeah.
and that's what I hate.
Yeah,
Indifference.
Boredom is awful.
I'd
no
rather
inspiration.
be annoyed
Oh, yes, me too.
or super happy.
Oh, yes, me too.
Than indifferent.
Yes, me
Indifferent
too.
to me is like a death
Horrific.
sentence.
That's why I don't like sulkers either. I'd rather have a row than a sulk.
I can't.
I can't
just do this for a
sulk.
minute because I feel like I might have met my special sister. So, people who sulk, victim mentality. And when I say victims, I don't mean people who have genuine reason to be ill or are victims. I mean the woe is me. Fuck off.
Hate them.
Fuck. Get away from me.
Energy vortex.
Go away. You're draining me by just
Awful.
looking at me.
I hate them.
Sort your life out. I'm not your
Who
mum.
has the patience for a sulk?
Oh, who has the time?
I mean, God, you're thinking that inner monologue. What are you thinking?
Yeah.
So I think that, we don't have sulking in the house
No, we
at
don't.
all. It's like a huge blast.
They blow up and it's done.
Yeah,
and
it's
then done. And everyone moves on. You're all family. Here we are, folks. The most insanely efficacious, sensorial, luxurious cleansing balm in the world has landed. I don't need to tell you what it takes to put my name to a cleansing balm, and this one had one mother of a brief. The Skin Rocks Cleansing Balm is the best balm ever created, and one I would choose every single time over anything I've ever used. 5 rollercoaster years of fearless ambition, sky-high expectation, tears, triumphs, and F-bombs. No pressure then, but what a result. Undoubtedly my most anticipated product, this was by far the hardest to make. The texture and crunch that took 4 years to perfect, its ability to decimate literally everything on your face, the R in a jar scent, the paperweight heavy hot pink glass. I mean, literally everything I adore in a cleanser has been distilled into one glorious jar, and it is absolutely spectacular. Transforming from a solid balm to a rich replenishing oil, this barrier-nourishing balm is formulated with the same innovative lipid advanced complex as the support oil to deliver supreme skin barrier support and help improve skin firmness, elasticity and hydration. There is simply nothing like it. It's £55, it's ready and waiting, and there is no dupe. You're online. When does the biohacking become more? Because I can't remember when I started following you. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was ages and ages ago. Like I've had 4 people following me. I think you were like the 5th.
When does it? I would have heard the accent and gone, "Oh, I'm following her. It's north, isn't it?" But when does it become what it is now?
Okay. Well, it was. I just thought. I was at the school gates and I'd started doing this biohacking, which means you're just hacking into your biology. So basically giving your brain really good fat so you can come off all the junk food. So
but
you can
caveat this with, there are biohackers out there that are fucking nuts.
Oh, they are?
It's hard to cherry pick the stuff that makes sense.
I think what resonates with you, I mean, something you can go, yeah, I get that. Like getting outside in the morning and getting blue light makes sense because, yeah, you do. I mean, I find myself now, because our office is like, we're in a temporary office at the moment and it's like 2 windows back. Like we've got a window overlooking the window, and I'm like, it makes me feel claustrophobic. So I go outside, and then that actually works for me because your eyes give information to your brain to pump out certain hormones at what time of day it is. Yeah. Granted, up north it is always drizzly, and it's always about 2, maybe 4
I'm stunned that you still live there with your whole mindset.
I know. But
God, don't take that out of context. I fucking love being up north. I never feel more at home.
No, but I really noticed because I did 25 years in London and then I moved back during lockdown. And I think that's why we're very funny because otherwise
we'd go mad.
Fucking go mad. Well, we're mad. Just going to Sainsbury's having a conversation. Well, bloody hell, have you seen state-up weather?
Yeah, literally.
Have you seen it? It's not stop. It's not letting up. I really kind of vibe with that now because I used to be in London. It's like quick. But now I do have a chat and in booths and stuff and it's always about the weather. Always
because
about the weather.
The weather does suck in that particular
I know, so we've
area.
got it's almost like a sinking ship.
It's like a vortex.
There's a camaraderie of we're all
going to
down,
drown together.
So let's have a final hurrah.
You have to be funny.
You end up having
But that's
a laugh.
also why, because it does get dark, I have an absolute chemical in my brain aversion to the big light.
Oh.
If you put a big light on, I will literally stop what I'm doing. It stops me in my tracks. It's like literally Superman, with his, what's it called?
Kryptonite. Yeah.
My kryptonite's a big light. Put big lights on.
Well, I'm looking
put
at...
the lamps on. The big light is, to me, utter depression because it takes me back to coming home from school in the dark.
Awful.
Being at home on my own in the dark with my brother, having to do homework, eating a bowl of cereal, watching Top of the Pops. And some of those memories are great.
Teas of the peas,
Fame after, Top of Pops and Fame.
Yes. On the phone, on the bottom of the stairs.
Oh my God, did you watch that? And getting ready to press record on your video player that you've got. You have to take with both hands. Can't rewind that, bitch. And so I have the big light for me is the trigger of trauma.
Yeah.
It is, when it's glorious and sunny, that's why you notice it, because it's glorious.
Unfortunately, I've got this mindset that when it's sunny, I actually think, instead of living in the moment and what a beautiful place I live in, look at the rolling hills, this is amazing, all the fresh air and everything, I think it's going to rain tomorrow. I've got this pop-up infrared sauna thing that you zip up.
In that sauna,
I do it every day.
It gives me endless entertainment.
I do it every day.
I see you there on Insta with your head sticking out of it.
I literally, when they finish the dinner, they go upstairs and they're playing or whatever, and Matt normally puts them to bed. That's my time. So at like 9 o'clock, I'm upstairs, I zip up this infrared sauna and I put my programmes on. At the moment, I'm watching The Resident. It's utter shit. It's like 18 series, like 15 episodes per series, utter American drivel, and I'm really into it. Matthew doesn't like it, so he won't disturb me, and I sit there for 45 minutes in my sauna. And I think that has saved my sanity throughout lockdown because that light, because remember, saunas aren't just about heat, it's about the infrared light going into my cells. And it actually cheers me up. I look forward to that like a glass of wine. Yeah. And I think, I'm watching my terrible programmes in my infrared sauna, sweating. I can hear the kids going nuts downstairs, but I'm zipped up. I'm not going to come out.
They're not going to come in. They're not going to come in because they're butt naked.
They come up shouting, Mum, Mum. I'm like, well, do you want me to get out of here? Because I have no clothes on. Gross! And then they go downstairs again, So, and that's and Chica, the dog, she sits next to me. She watches equally shit trash TV as well. And that's my routine at night. I have a cold shower and then my pyjamas on up to here. So
sexy.
In, eye mask on,
sexy
nose
time.
thing, mouth thing, and I go to sleep. Matt's like, what?
What did I marry?
This wasn't advertised.
So how did everything that you learned then become Willpowders?
It was because I couldn't find all these ingredients. So I wanted a really good collagen because collagen is like the building blocks for life, the amino acids. But I still wanted to this might sound a bit techie for anyone who's like just listening, but I hack my tea and coffee in the morning. So I put a teaspoon of collagen in there and I put a big tablespoon of this MCT powder in there. And I couldn't get that from anywhere in the UK.
Yeah.
And I just thought, well, if I'm doing it, other people might do it. So we just set up a little company. There's only like me, Matt, and my mate doing it on the computer because I don't know how to work a computer. Another thing I missed while I was in the pub, the tech revolution. And we just started and I just thought, well, what do I need? What do women need? What do families need? And it's willpower. We need willpower to be able to say no to these hyper-palatable foods, these bliss point foods
that are forced on us.
Nestle and Mars Company and, General Mills and all the big hitters, or Unilever, Procter & Gamble, all these guys. I mean, there's like 5 companies that own all the snack food in the world. I mean, it's phenomenal, their power. And it's like, how do we say no to that? If we've been raised on it, we've been exposed to it, we've been conditioned that they're treats, that they're good for you. How do we say no to something that is designed to be addicting? And that's when I brought in, I turned the MCT oil, because it was messy, into a powder. Yeah. And then that's my Willpowders. So I put that in and all of a sudden that noise, that addiction dampens down and I can go, actually, while I'm in Pret, I'll just have the egg, which I did today, didn't I? I did that. So she said, do you want anything? I said, I'll just have an egg.
I'll have an egg pot, please, and just stink everyone out.
Yes, high protein. So, and it's just, white knuckling, be it alcohol, be it gambling, be it food, be it drugs, but white knuckling is the horriblest, time-consuming, energy-sapping condition you can be in. Yeah. It's so boring. It takes so much effort to say no. And eventually, and that's why diets are just the biggest industry in the world. Yeah. Because you white knuckle for 3 weeks, you lose some weight, majority of it water, and then eventually you're going to give up because you've not changed the chemicals in your brain enough to be able to say, actually, I'm all right, I'm indifferent. Yeah. Being indifferent to a hyperpalatable food is insane. Yeah. I have pot noodles on sandwiches.
That's my favourite thing. Oh, I used to have a chicken noodle soup sandwich. I'd
The
have the
luminous
chicken
one.
noodle soup, yeah.
Chicken noodle soup.
Day glow, take the noodles out, put it in white bread and butter, salt.
Well, that's what I
delicious,
want. That's what I want to
Jesus.
develop. That's what I want to develop at Willpowders. All the high street stuff, but made with proper ingredients. So, like our protein, it sounds really out there, but if you think about it, it's not. My protein's not made from frigging weird peas imported from China. There aren't even peas, because I spoke to a guy who used to work at Huel, and he said, we don't even know what those beans are. We don't know where they're from, but we just get the protein out of it. Since when do you get protein out of a bean? Mm-hmm. It's never been a thing until recently.
Yeah.
And it's fake protein. Your body doesn't recognise it.
My body didn't recognise it when I first started taking care of myself, should we say, because it wasn't really a diet. It was changing the way I lived. Yeah. I bought into the Huel thing all the way through. Not the ready-made ones, the powders.
Yeah.
And I had tried yours. They felt different. And then I had messaged you, or you had seen something I'd posted and you put, I am coming for them. It's full of shit.
It is.
And then I thought, hang on a minute. And I looked at the label and I was like, Jesus Christ. And I don't know why I hadn't even looked at a label, because in my job with skincare, it's all I do.
Yes, of course.
Is look at labels. And then I had that moment of, why aren't you looking at the labels?
Yeah.
You're just taking it from, oh, this is big, this is a big seller, this must be good.
I mean, the branding, brilliant.
Yeah, brilliant branding. You know,
and that's what it is. Because they literally know that you're time poor, and you just like grab something and it's. But I mean,
but switching to Willpowders,
which has only got 5 ingredients.
Hashtag not an ad.
Hashtag not an ad.
Best thing I've ever done.
Because
I subscribe. I'm a fully paid up member of the club.
I thank you for that.
Yeah.
I mean, because basically what our protein is, it's bone broth. And when people say to me, what do you mean? I'm like, think of it as oxtail soup, but tastes like Mr. Whippy. And that's it. We flavour it with vanilla. We've taken all the beef flavour out of it. So bone broth, if you think about bone broth, nothing to do with Willpowders or anything. Every civilization through the whole of time has had bone broth as a staple. Since we first created fire, we've had bone broth. It's got all those amino acids. I mean, even 2 generations ago, we were having bone broth. We have just forgotten how to use it. It used to be in gravies, stews, soups, whatever. And so we've got Scandinavian bone broth. And the cattle there are all grass-fed, grass-finished. You know, there's none of this mass industrialisation that you get in South America, which is really actually run by the cartels, which I'm actually quite intrigued by. Because, I watched Queen of the South and I'm like, I kind of want to check that out. Anyway, but I digress. Our cattle, basically, the Scandinavians do it really well. Think of the Vikings, you know, and they simmer the bones for 36 hours. We dehydrate it, we powder it, and then we put vanilla on top. Yeah. And we put cacao on top. Yeah. And we make it taste like a flipping dessert. Because if someone said, you know, when you're like on a diet,
it's not too sweet.
So people are saying it is too sweet. So I brought out a neutral one. So you can put that, if you want to make bread, put that in there. If you want to make a pancake, put that in there. And then, of course, it's the soups as well. This time of year, I want soups, you know, like cup of soups, but they're full of shit. So I'm always testing these things because I don't want anyone's blood sugar to go up, because then it makes it addicting. Yeah. And you'll start reaching for... So if you have like a cup of soup or something, don't sue me, cup of soup, but it's true.
Or pot noodle. Let's try something else in the mix.
Pot noodle. Anything no.
Anything that rolls a kettle and powder.
But literally. But if you have one of those continuous glucose monitors on, you'll see that your blood sugar goes up. So you get, very nice for a bit. But after then 5 minutes, it comes down and then you're like that. So what, Kit Kat? And that's it. You're off. You're off. And so our products, I mean, I could make them addicting, but that's not the point. You have one and you're all right. And you get on with your day and you finish off whatever you're doing without and knowing that you can have as much of it as you want, because you've got... It's bloody bone broth. I mean, the mums that say to me, are the kids okay having protein? I'm like, how the fuck did we get like this?
How did we get here when you're giving them the whole... If you open the cupboard, it's probably full of cereal.
Well, literally... You will give them cereal, you give them Domino's, you give them a McDonald's for a treat, but you're going to question the oldest ingredient known to man, bone broth.
Bone broth.
I know. And you're like flipping out. I said, of course you can. Of course you can. My kids have it every morning. And I whack a banana in and put some milk in, and then they have bacon and eggs. People are like, what, your kids have bacon and eggs? I'm like, damn right they do. Yeah. They don't have cereal.
No.
They don't at all. So, I mean, for me, Willpowders, I'm trying to make it more of a family thing. I mean, it always starts with the mums, really. We still do frigging everything. We still organise the passports at the airport. Yes, the wedding, you know, and the shop. We decide how healthy the family is, and I'm trying to make it as accessible. So I've got collagen that's completely odourless and flavourless. I mean, my kid's got ADHD. It doesn't smell of anything. You can put it... When Prime came out, everyone wanted a Prime. And I'm not going to say to my kids, no, you can't have that because we're orthorexic and we're No, of course I'm going to have Prime. It was the end of term. And I just put some collagen in and put the lids back on. And they soon got over the pram, but I'm like, sneaky clever mum. I won. And like my kid, well, one of them, number 2, he smells everything.
Right.
Smells everything.
That's Daniel, son number 2. Son number 2.
He's the second, isn't it?
Smells everything.
Suspicious.
Takes a mug from the cupboard and he'll smell it before he puts a drink in it.
Yeah, and he says, did you touch that? Did you touch that?
Yes.
I mean, it's a thing. Yeah,
In the
but
best
he
way.
will grab anyone's food, but if they go near his, there's
Oh
all
my
hell to
God.
pay.
Wait, at my mum's funeral, you'll love this, at my mum's funeral, Daniel prioritises he's the one who's all obsessed with the diet, and he'll fast for 8 hours after he wakes up. He does keto, he does all of this, right? Because he has chronic clinical insomnia.
Okay.
Really, really bad. So his whole thing is his nutrition and anyway. At my mum's funeral, Daniel's got this huge plate of food because it's his feasting time.
Of course.
So and there's just this feast.
Only the 8 vibes.
Yeah. I said, when we're doing a picture of something as you do, when the relatives there you haven't seen for 20 years or whatever, let's have a picture at your mum's funeral. Oh, happy days.
It's
weird.
Mental. Yeah, it's
a
totally
northern
mental.
funeral is mental,
Yeah, it's very
especially
strange.
bringing the Irish contingent who we had.
And it's a complete piss up.
And as he left the table, he went, watch my food.
Like,
Last night he shared his chicken tenders with me. I feel bad. I feel like I should just mention that because he's like, Mum, I share my food with you. But that's the ADHD, and his hyper focus is his body, the gym.
Yeah,
food,
that's
nutrition.
exactly that. My number 2, exactly the same.
Isn't it crazy?
Yeah, it is. And you can see, and I think it's really good that we can see those traits now. And I mean, I only found out I had it when I was testing my son.
Well, I only found out I had it when we were testing Ava.
There you go. And
We were doing the questionnaire
and he goes,
and
it
Jim's
all
going,
makes sense.
"This is
And people
literally
said,
all
oh, yeah,
you."
it's being overdiagnosed. No, it's a survival. It's a skill set. So
Yeah.
people with ADHD often were the people who, in a tribe, you got the cozy people who, I don't know, wet nursey type people who stay at home, stories, do the bone broth. And then you've got the people, maybe like you and I, who go, should we go and have a look and see what's over that hill? Could be certain death, might not be, but
Yep.
shits
Might
and
find a
giggles.
cow.
You never know. Onwards and upwards.
Yeah.
And also we're very distracted because our periphery is sharper than other people's because we're always looking out for danger.
Always.
That's why you get distracted when you're in the office because you're
Always.
like, and then what?
Yeah.
And that is a skill set that is evolutionary, made tribes survive. So why on earth would you think that that's not still applicable to this day and age? And why does a child like me at like 13 need to be stuck in
And
triple
me.
flipping science?
And me.
You know?
Yep.
Same with my kids. So I'm a bit like that about school.
I am.
I'm like, whatever, we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
out.
Because we've been through it, the worst that can happen is you'll just have to work a bit harder.
Yeah, or
have to
just
work a
do
bit
it, or
harder.
just find something else. Find something. Go into manufacturing.
Do something else. If you
Yeah.
don't need numbers after your name, I'm not paying for you to go to uni. It'd be a waste of time.
oh my God, no.
I'm not paying for you. None of mine went to uni. Max
No,
said he was going to go. He went. I paid the fees in full, and then he dropped out after a
Yeah.
week. I'm like, why did I pay? Why
Yeah,
didn't I learn? Why did I pay the
imagine
fees?
that.
You dick. Oh, by then he's my 4th kid. It's my fault. I should have known. I'm the mug.
As humans, we're naturally driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. When I was looking to hire someone, it was so slow and overwhelming. I wish I had used Indeed. If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. And Indeed doesn't just help you hire faster. 93% of employers agree Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, according to a recent Indeed survey. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Okay, it's time for the clickbait. This is all circulating online, fresh from the TikTok or Insta, and people that you and I will both know. I mean, not personally, you might. I just want to get your opinion on them, please. Okay, eating 12 to 16 eggs a day is good for you.
Okay, so eggs are really good. They're a great gauge of it if you're hungry. So if you eat your eggs until you're full, i.e. I can do 3 eggs scrambled, and then I'm kind of full.
Yeah.
So for me, 3's my max. Now, I don't know if you're going to do like a Rocky Balboa vibes, but if you're bulking up, sure, you can force it down you. But eggs are a complete food. It's got choline and it's brilliant for mental health. But it's a great one if you're struggling with cravings and you're coming in from, you've not eaten all day and you're coming from the office. First thing I do is scrambled eggs, shove that down me.
Always.
And then I go, okay, now do I really want
Now am I hungry?
Now do I really want a Chinese takeaway?
But
and if I do, I'll have one.
But what we're not saying is, like, Eddie, what's his face, is
Eddie.
just obsessed with.
But he comes from the bodybuilding background, so
Yeah.
a lot of his
Which is
followers are
missed,
lads
which
with
is missed, I
with- a
think.
lot of those followers are young lads, and he is tapping into a demographic that has been neglected.
Yep.
That has been, you've got your Bartlett type people giving them
Yep.
junk food, giving them acne, giving them gut dysbiosis, giving them estrogen, giving them man boobs, stretch marks, cellulite. He is actually at least pointing them in a direction where they now understand that this bullshit marketing
Yeah.
that you're paying into to put someone on a private jet ain't working for your son. So I know but I think you have to over egg things with those lads because
Yeah.
they don't listen.
They don't
As we
get
know.
it. They don't get
You
it.
have to be extreme with lads.
Yeah. Oat milk is bad for you.
It is. Wholly bad for you. Right, so first of all, it's not a
I
milk.
knew it was gonna go that way.
It's not a milk. It's
not
not
a
a
milk.
milk. It's not a milk, okay? It's juice, oat juice. Right, so if you think about, how do you feel after you have a piece of bread? Carb coma, right? So, of course, carbs are great if you want to chill out. You naturally reach for carbohydrates. So at night, I have carbohydrates. I'm not ketogenic all day, which means fat burning. At night time, I have my sourdough, I have my vegetables.
You're inspiration for me. When I saw you doing sourdough toast for bed, I was like, this
yes.
is a revelation.
Watching
Toast
Love
in
Island
bed.
or something awful like that.
Davinia says it's good. I'm going to try it. And you're good because you just have a nice little kid.
Yeah, because you get a carb coma, and that's the right time of day.
Yeah.
Because
I don't
it
want a carb
lowers-
coma at 3 p.m.
No, you don't, because if you have a sandwich at 3 p.m., you're going to be fighting through the brain fog. So at like 6 o'clock at night, start chilling out, start relaxing, start having your bread if you want to, mopping up gravy, lovely, 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 and
Spot the northerner.
literally everything with gravy. And
Love the gravy.
and you will feel tired because it lowers cortisol. That's why when you're in constant states of stress,
Yeah.
you reach for carbohydrates
Yeah.
to doubt. So you are biohacking, but in a detrimental way, because you're going to pile on the insulin resistance. And we don't want insulin resistance because that leads to type 2 diabetes, which is all sorts of puts you really, really, really at risk from all sorts of diseases. So that's why I like to try and keep my blood sugar low for the majority of the day. And then I'll peak it and let it drop at night. And it's a lot easier than it sounds.
But essentially, what we're saying
Essentially
is
carbs
drink
at night.
dairy.
A drink, yes. God, sorry, but if you look at the ingredients on oat milk, that Oatly, have a look on the back.
Vegetable oil.
It's vegetable oil, which is bad for you. I don't care what anybody says. It is bad for you because it does. If you just take some and see how you
disgusting.
feel. I mean, there's no such thing as veg oil. When did you last get oil out of a carrot or broccoli? It's marketed brilliantly.
Yeah.
And, what is wrong with butter? What is wrong with coconut oil? What is wrong? It's that processing, it's bleached and everything. And it's so contentious. It's such a dividing issue. But I'm like, do you know what? You want to have your polyunsaturated fatty acids happy days. But there's a great woman called Dr. Kate Shanahan. Read her book.
I've got her books.
Oh, she is so nice. She is just like the nicest, gentlest scientist. And she gets bullied left, right and centre. And I frigging hate it by horrible doctors and she's studied this, made it a life work.
Yeah.
She said, no, we're not telling you not to eat. I'm telling you just to swap this out. It's not
swap
serving
it
you.
out.
It crosses the blood-brain barrier. It shouldn't be in our brain. It swirls around. So that's rapeseed oil, vegetable oil, and sunflower oil.
Which are put into those drinks
to emulsify
make them
them.
froth. And I was having the ones that are just organic, oat, salt and water. I developed an allergy to them. I'd had the cough for 3 years. As people who follow me will know, I'd be doing a live and going... And it was oat milk in my tea.
It's liquid bread.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to have bread...
Liquid bread, I love that. I want bread, not liquid bread.
Yeah, exactly. You want to chew it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many nice milks out there, even coconut, but just make sure, if you're dairy intolerant, have a look at the coconut, make sure it's not got the veg oils in. There's loads of really good ones, you know what I mean? And no emulsifiers. It's all going to play havoc with you. It's about counting chemicals, not calories, yeah?
Gluten is harmful to your gut.
I believe it is. I was talking to an amazing oncologist called Dr. Naisha Winters, and she said, yeah, it is. It is literally... That's why I have sourdough, because when you fermented the bread, it's for 48 hours, it's broken down that gluten molecule, so you won't bloat as much. I mean, you're still going to pile on weight if you eat it like a lunatic. That's why I have it at night, because then I go to sleep, and then I'll stop.
Not tempted to eat another 5 slices.
But yeah, gluten is an inflammatory molecule, and I think it's changed. I'm reading stuff about the amount of glyphosate and stuff in these. It's a very deep science. The quality of the grains isn't good. So there's a company called Jason's. Not an ad. By the way, I don't affiliate
I've had Jason's
anything.
bread. It's all good.
It's nice, isn't it? And it does fold. And, you know, it does go off quicker, but good.
Good. I don't want my bread to last 6 months.
No, but you've got to, like, then you just, like, rubbing it in the toaster as fast as you can. Got to get him on his worth. Kids eat.
Just scrape it off, it'll be fine.
Exactly.
Taking too many supplements is bad for you. Our bodies already have everything they need. I mean, it's bullshit. You can't.
No, you
if
can't.
they had everything we need, we wouldn't have hormone replacement therapy.
No, exactly. And you wouldn't know. Absolutely not. I mean, the quality of our food.
And also the quality of our supplements.
Exactly. And, I mean, there's things that we now know from all over the world, like curcumin. Like, my ancestors wouldn't have known about curcumin because turmeric wasn't here, but we know curcumin is a pain relief and it's an anti-inflammatory. Of course I'm going to use that.
Yeah, it's also used in skincare now.
Is it?
Yeah,
is
it's
it
used
really?
in skincare as an anti-inflammatory, yeah.
Is it now? Curcumin, them lot. So, yeah, I mean, I think there's so many things you can tweak and that's about what biohacking's about. You know, if you feel a bit shit one day, have that. If you feel good that day, pep it up with that. And that's why I love it, because it's like, it's nuanced. Each day is nuanced because it depends on my sleep, how I'm going to react.
Perimenopause symptoms can be reversed by changing your diet and lifestyle.
Well, I think when I first started going into perimenopause, I thought it was, I have to go on HRT and everything. And then I started looking into my thyroid. And it seemed to be my thyroid was exacerbating my perimenopause. Mm-hmm. So I literally reduced the amount. I started adding in some more magnesium, so my sleep was better.
Yeah.
I started doing like the infrared sauna to support my liver, and I've really reduced my perimenopause symptoms completely. I mean, I still get a bit gnarly, but we used to sell a supplement called estrogen detox, but we can't because it's novel food now, but you can get it in France. But it's called din-dolymethine, and it detoxes estrogen from the liver. And I think a lot of women have toxic estrogen recirculating because you poo estrogen out, you know.
Yeah, you poo everything out.
You poo everything out, but sometimes you don't. You reabsorb it, and that can, and men as well. Men have estrogen dominance, and I think that is catastrophic for the population right now, because you can get estrogen dominance from drinking water out of plastic, which is phenomenal. Fabulous book called Estrogen Generation, which is worth the read. But that particular supplement, DIM, is brilliant. You need calcium D-glucarate as well to take it through phase 2 of the liver and then get it into the liver. But we don't talk about that. Detoxing estrogen, used up toxic estrogen, and then you don't get the symptoms as bad. So it is that detox pathway.
I think the problem becomes when you say perimenopause symptoms can be reversed by changing your diet and lifestyle. I know if I hadn't have taken HRT, I'd have lost my mind. Absolutely
Quite possibly,
lost my mind.
yeah.
And it was taking the HRT that made me then go, oh, right, now I can think clearly. My brain cleared up. So I think if you're lucky enough to come into that age knowing what you knew and knowing, well, I could maybe help myself here and make sure I'm not going on the wrong foods and da-da-da. Because for most women, the true story is without HRT, we'd be so much worse off in terms of like calcium for your bone density,
everything, and it's neuroprotective.
Everything. So I take estrogen 2 ways. I have testosterone.
Yeah.
I have progesterone 2 ways. I mean, I'll take it all, but I don't drink anymore.
Yeah.
I look after myself better. Yeah. I mean, you can always do better. But I think what really wound me up recently was Eddie again said this on That's Where It's Come From.
I saw that.
He said perimenopause symptoms can be reversed by changing your diet. And I wanted to go, you're a fucking man. You have no idea what you're talking about. And even if you're coming from a good place, all you've done is piss off a load of angry women.
I know, because also there's all the whole women's health thing that went wrong when the big scare about cancer and everything. And you're just like, there's so much confusion because personally, my mum died of breast cancer, not BRCA1 or anything. And so therefore I'm at high risk, but I'm not joking. If I'm losing my mind, I'm going to take that chance. I am not losing my mind again.
And also BRCA1, if you haven't got the gene.
Well, God knows why did she get breast cancer twice? They don't frigging know.
No.
They don't know.
And they don't care.
They don't care.
No.
They don't care. Patriarch.
Okay. If you cut out carbs entirely, you will eventually experience higher energy levels.
Well, I mean, I find that is the case. If I go into full ketosis, which I did do before my first London marathon I did, I know, midlife crisis. I did go into full ketosis, and you do actually, you suddenly start fat burning, and then the body realizes it's got no glucose, so it goes into using those ketones, and you've got endless supply of ketones, particularly if you're overweight, and your body just but I tell you what takes you back out: boredom. I want a snack. I want a treat. I want to do something. We're going to
But you do love a run, though. Running's your thing, isn't it?
Running's my thing. And it's not a fast run. It's just boom, 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 listening to house music. I have a load of nootropics, which are ingredients that rev up the brain. I've got something called brain powder, and it's got a really cool ingredient in there called macuna purines, which is L-dopa, precursor to dopamine. So me being dopamine deficient, it rams it up. I put some house music on, pretend I'm still in the house, and off I go. When I'm not, I'm just running around.
You're just running with the dogs.
Running with the
in
dogs.
the rain.
Waving at people. I'll do. And all
I'll
that
do.
really rock and roll.
Oh, bloody
But
weather.
It totally and utterly gets my day into some sort of alignment.
When do you run?
Straight after drop off.
School run,
drop off,
run.
yeah. And yeah, they're like, please don't run near the school. Okay.
Yeah. They share that universally.
Mortified.
Yeah.
Me with all the gear on.
Have a good day, lads.
Bye. Say hi to your friends.
You should only buy organic produce, and then it says, what if you can't afford to?
Oh, well, I'll tell you what you can do, because I can't, because we've not got organic up where I am. We've already got Sainsbury's, and they've not got any organic in, and Booth don't either. So you can wash it all in bicarbonate of soda with a little bit of apple cider vinegar to get the pesticides off. Obviously, if it's GMO, it's in the food itself, but, you know, we live in the 21st century. We've got Apple phones. That's convenient. I guess, you know, it's ifs and buts. It swings and roundabouts. And by the way, meat, if it's British, it's predominantly grass-fed, so don't worry about that. Obviously, sheep and cows are all grass-fed, because it's easy, because guess what? It freaking rains all the time, and we've got really good grass. So use British beef rather than anything brought in from Argentina can be fed corn, which changes the fat profile of the animals. And we need to support our farmers, really, because they're having a shit time, aren't they?
For sure. Apple cider vinegar can cure digestive problems.
Apple cider vinegar is pretty good if you have like acid reflux. It's because the acid's getting up. I wouldn't say it's a cure-all. I mean, there's so many things you could do for digestion. There's one thing that I found that's really cheap, and because I used to bloat a lot, which is Mulcasan. You get it on Amazon. It's this fermented whey. It tastes like vomit.
Oh, no. You haven't sold it to me.
Yeah,
You're
I know.
lie.
It tastes like vomit, but it does work with some aloe vera, and you put a capful of each in a cup, and you drink it on an empty
they're
stomach.
both disgusting.
Within a week, you won't be bloated.
But you might never want to eat again.
And your breath.
Oh,
feel like you've
God.
vomed. But it does work, and it's cheap, and it's there, and it's really good. Particularly if you've got you've been overindulging and stuff, and you've you've just got like that bloated feeling after Christmas and everything. It's a great thing to do just for a week, and it's only a few quid. So Mulcasan and aloe vera, but it's vom.
Okay, great. What an ad. Sugar is the enemy, and we should avoid it entirely.
Well, I think veg oil is worse than sugar. I'll be honest with you. I think the body's always had sugar. We've always had honey. We've always had fruit. You know, I mean, obviously taking it, I mean, there's a capacity that you'll have and you'll stop eating it. But I think the veg oil is easier to swap out because A, you won't crave it. B, it doesn't taste of anything. And I think the body can metabolize sugar. Obviously, we've got too much of it. We've got carbohydrates constantly. We've got carbohydrate covered in sugar constantly, and that's addiction. However, my enemy 101 would be veg oil, and it's easy to remove because you don't crave it. So
the best way to cure IBS is to increase fibre in your diet.
I don't think so. I really don't. I think that fibre thing's been over-egged. I think it's more about the probiotics, and I think it is about decent amino acids in you, so decent meat. To be honest, if I go meat only, so I did carnivore for January just to see what it would be like, and no digestive issues. Strangely, I pooed. Sorry. I normally have a morning poo, and it shifted to the evening for 2 days, and then it came back to the morning.
Why?
I don't know. My digestion was, because obviously fibre sort of like binds it. Fat is the laxative. Yeah. Fibre just binds it kind of together, and it does. You know, there is elements of fibre that will help make the probiotics grow because they're prebiotics. However, I still think the amino acids, the proteins, are the ones that heal the gut. So that's why I have loads of collagen, because it heals the gut. Bovine collagen heals the gut, leaky gut. And it's a thing now. Although if you go to your doctor and you say you've got leaky gut, they say it doesn't exist. You've got to say digestive permeability or something.
And they'll give you a tablet for IBS.
Great. But no, seriously, that Mulcasan aloe vera will really help with that. Honestly.
I believe you. I just don't want to taste something that tastes like shit.
It's horrible.
Well, thank you. I feel like we've done way over time, but that's fine. Everyone will listen because we're both absolutely mental. What could go wrong? Do you have a burning question for me?
Yes. So it is to do with, like, HRT, pigmentation, pregnancy. What's going on there, and how can we help? Because after I had the kids, I got pigmentation there. But a friend of mine, she got melasma around here. What's on the horizon for pigmentation? Because it seems to be everyone seems to have, particularly with HRT as well.
It's hormonal, number one. So you will get it more because our pigmentation tends to come out when we're a bit older. So it's kind of coincidentally, it's around HRT. But really the damage is done when you're younger. So when you go on the pill, when you have kids, when you are perimenopausal, any fluctuation in your hormones, so yours would have had a battering, literally, any fluctuation in your hormones can stimulate but melasma. So melasma is the one that is kind of more prone. We're women are more prone to it, and it's usually around childbirth. You know, they call it butterfly. You get the here or here. Your the biggest thing you do for it is SPF. Yeah. And a lot of people don't want to hear that because they think it's, you know, I blame the biohackers for the SPF is the devil conversation, which is a whole other subject. But SPF is number one. It's triggered by heat, not just sunshine, heat. So saunas won't help. I mean, if your face is sticking out of it, you might want to sit with a cold flannel on your cheeks. Yeah. Wear a hat, sit under an umbrella. But the thing is, you can treat it. Like now, clinics will be really busy at this time of year treating melasma and pigmentation because the sun's not out. But the minute the sun comes back, and because we're very Northern Territory, our thing when the sun is, we all do this. And it's instantaneously back. So you can treat it and it doesn't go out, it sort of disperses, but it will come back. It's a bit like your normal functioning melanin has just had the volume cranked up and it's going off like fireworks. It's overstimulated and it's hormonal. And there's not a lot that you can do. For the average person who gets it, you can treat it, but the best treatment is prevention. You can't do anything about your hormones, that's going to happen. So someone who's never had a kid, never been on the pill, could still easily get it because they will go through menopause.
I wonder if there's any way to figure out what's going on in the liver there that is kicking that off. It's got to be something to do with that. There has got to be some sort of... There's something's blocking, isn't it, that it's flaring that up. Anyway,
well, if you find out what it is, I'll do it with you and we'll launch it as a product together.
Why not?
Because it will change the world.
It will change the freaking world. Things to do on the train back to Depreston.
Yeah, but if you want to do something, if you have it, you can go and see someone who can get it treated. You can do laser, creams, all that sort of stuff, peels. It will inevitably come back. Maybe not as bad as you had it before. So... SPF is your best bet.
And even like if you put like a fake tan on it as well, it just like...
Well, the fake tan is just sticking to the more colour. Yeah. So where you're darker, you're going to tan darker. That's all it is. So it's putting makeup of one uniform colour on your skin, but your skin is not a uniform colour. Yeah. So your self-tan doesn't cause melasma. Okay. It just makes it look darker.
Makes it look...
That's all it is.
Okay.
It's just tanning your pigmentation.
It's like you want to do the whole lot, you know. See the Scouser in me, a whole lot of pigmentation.
Curlers.
What are you doing?
Tan, curlers. Davinia, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
I mean, you'll have to come back because I haven't done any other questions that are on my list. Of course. But thank you very much.
Thank you for having me so much. And I love listening to you.
You can hear much more from our chat this Wednesday in our listeners' questions episode, so make sure you tune in. Send your questions for me and my guest to answer to pod@carolinehirons.com. Until then, I'm glad we had this chat. New episodes are available every Monday and Wednesday. Follow or subscribe now on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Glad We Had This Chat is produced by Wall to Wall Media.
As humans, we're naturally driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. When I was looking to hire someone, it was so slow and overwhelming. I wish I had used Indeed. If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. And Indeed doesn't just help you hire faster. 93% of employers agree Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, according to a recent Indeed survey. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.